How's everyone doing tonight? Hope you're having a good night. I'm trying to contact my guest. Not able to get in touch with them. This ain't good. I'll try this again. We are going to have a chiller chat. Hopefully we're going to have a guest. Let's see how this goes here. Okay, well. Getting a little concerned here. Can't get in touch with my guest. Well, that ain't good. Well, maybe he had to step out. Maybe he had something come up. Hold on there, folks. We'll Okay, well, it's 8 o'clock, so I guess I'm going to start. All right, here we go. Hey everybody, this is Bryan Hogue. Welcome to Chiller Chat. How's your night going? Hope you're doing all right. I was having a little bit of technical difficulties, I think, or maybe it's human error. I don't know. I was going to have the guest tonight was going to be Tim Gross, but unfortunately, for whatever reasons, I can't get in touch with him. I was in touch with him earlier today, so but that's all right. If he's maybe he had something come up and wasn't able to notify me. If that's the case, we'll just we'll do it at another time. Normally I share the video prior to starting the show. I'm going to do that real quick right now, and I was all prepared with my show here tonight with Tim, so I hope everything's okay. But anyways, we'll just have a show nonetheless. By golly, Cassandra says, hi everybody. Hey Cassandra, David says, good evening. Good evening, David. John says, good evening, everyone. John, thanks for joining us. Stan says, I am here. Stan is here. All right, thank you, Stan. Greg says, hi. Hi, Craig. Thanks for joining us. Gold World Order says, hey, how's it going, Brian? Buzzkiller. Going pretty good. I feel bad. I think we lost Tim for tonight. I've been trying to contact him. I'm gonna give him one more try here on Skype. We won't give up until we have to. Says he isn't online. That's too bad. Well, I guess. What do you guys want to talk about? I'll tell you what. Gold World Order says, I hear a submarine. Yeah, it sounds like one. I guess we're just gonna have to go without Tim for tonight. Oh, that's too bad. Like I said, I hope everything's okay. There's a chance it might be some type of technical glitch, although we did try this out and everything was working good yesterday. But all right. Well, nonetheless, tonight it's I guess it's a grab bag topic, whatever you want to throw at me. Well, in the meantime, what I'll do is I guess I'll toot my own horn here for a few minutes. David says, Brian, what's your favorite Western? My favorite Western is, I've got to say, the first one that pops into my head is El Dorado with John Wayne and Robert Mitchum, James Caan. That's probably my favorite Western. So I did get done with Deadwood. I found that to be an interesting show, a very interesting show. It's like Shakespeare meets the Western genre, and it's very interesting dialogue. At times, it's a little, it's a bit of a struggle to. That's why I'm actually rewatching it just to see if I missed anything, because the dialogue. And I will say this about it. One thing I do like is they don't talk down to the audience. That's for sure. They expect you to keep up. They so and so that's pretty cool. But my favorite Western movie, I'm going to say El Dorado. That's one that I've seen so many times and I could watch many times again. Speaking of Westerns, what'd you think of, did you guys get a chance to catch Jesse James Meets Frankenstein's Daughter? That was on Chiller Night Theater Saturday night, so I hope you get a chance to check that out. Not exactly historically accurate, but it's one of those things. Still not seen them on here. Wonder if I had to just keep trying. I suppose. I mean, I'd hate to. Here's that submarine again. I'll give it a try. Timothy isn't online. That is something, isn't it? Oh well. That's too bad. We were going to talk about, just all kinds of things. Gross Fest, Tales from the Gross Side, and some of the things that he has accomplished and working on. David says, you posted shots of your classic Western guns. Are those the only ones in your collection? Nope. Those just happen to be. I had the Ruger Vaquero out, and I was looking at that, and I thought, well, that would kind of be neat to put up and kind of show with its holster. I had a holster ordered just get the Vaquero. You got to get a holster, a nice Western holster to go with the Vaquero. So I did that, and I already had the Colt Python, and I had another holster made for that. from a company in Alaska, and so I figured, well, okay. The one day I showed off the Vaquero, I thought, well, today I'll show off the Python. So no, but that's yeah, those are not the only ones in the collection. Um, let's see. Ghoul World Order said, fire torpedo. Right. Joe Expo says, goatee looks great. Ah, thank you. Thank you. I don't know what exactly was the inspiration, if anything. I just guess that you know, there comes a time when you just get a little tired of shaving every day, I suppose. So that time is here. It is here, folks. Every day, or maybe every month. I don't know. I don't know where this is going to lead. Your guess is as good as mine. I don't have any objectives in mind, but we'll see. We'll see where it goes. I might just like the change. It's been a while. I had a beard actually before I started filming the Chiller Night Theaters with Stream TV, and then since then I've not had one because it's kind of a pain to be in makeup and costume. And Michelle sends a little what the heck are those? The little yellow guys. Again, I keep forgetting what they're called. The little guys with the one eye that with Lasercorn says, hey peeps, reporting live from Otto's Pub and Brewery in State College, PA. I usually loathe being the center of attention, but today is my birthday. Celebrate with me, for this year has sucked. Well, it has. It really has. And I don't think it's done yet. It's no, it's got some sucking left. But hey, happy birthday to you, Lasercorn. Thanks for joining us. Gold World Order said the beard will definitely keep your face warm. Minions. He says minions. That's it. That's it. All right, Michelle. Get me on that every time. I just get that block. Mr. Tracy says hello. Hey, Mr. Tracy. Thanks for joining us. Joe Expo says happy birthday, Laser. May this day be better. This day and after be better. Okay. Cassandra says, have you ever heard of a Western called Sundown, the Vampire Retreat? I have not, no. The next one that I'm going to show on Chiller Night Theater, Western themed, would be Billy the Kid Meets Dracula. So that would be the next one. And I think that's in the not too distant future. David says, the only Western guns I own are a couple Italian replicas that only shoot with black powder and balls. Wow. Very cool. Stan says, happy birthday. Lasercorn says, thanks, Joe. Joe Expo says, Brian, seriously, give me all your posters. All my oh, you like those? Those are, yeah, they're kind of neat. They add to the atmosphere. I like them. I feel bad about that. I'm gonna try Tim again. I don't know what's going on. Dave and Diana, remember when you guys were just on 2 weeks ago, and was it doing the same thing? Did it say you're offline? It says Tim isn't online. But then he's not, I don't see where he has seen anything on Facebook, my attempts to contact him there or to call him. So, oh, that's too bad. Do I have a phone number here? I wonder if I have a phone number here. All right. Well, we tried. We tried. I'll try one more time. Getting the old submarine noise. All right. Well, I followed through. I did my due diligence there, attempting to get a hold of them. So, again, if something happened, I hope that's not the case, and we'll get them on here as soon as we can. Mr. Tracy says, Sunday had white stuff on Sunday. Ick, not ready for it. Yeah. You know, last week here, We had my last mow of the year with the yard, and the first snow of the year in the yard within the same week. So one was I think it was last Monday was last mow, and then Saturday, I think it was Saturday. I document this stuff. Yeah, first snow was November 13th here. Joe Expo says, Brian dressed in style today. Just look at that jacket. Yes, this is, thank you for for that, Joe Expo. This is the official Chiller Chat jacket. I got this just not too long ago, about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. And because I was actually looking for, if you see the colors here and the color of the logo up here, it was it has blue in it, a lot of blue. So I wanted to get something that kind of had that look. I wanted a look, that way if I went to conventions or anything, such as Gross Fest or any other conventions, I wanted to have a look, that way if somebody really wasn't sure who I was, they'd see the signs and all that, but they'd recognize at least a certain look. And so that was the birth of the jacket you see before you tonight. Cassandra said, a vampire story with a Western set in contemporary times. And it plays for laughs, but not for camp, allowing for more serious aspects to come through. Among these more serious aspects, which are treated that way, are an extramarital affair that has created serious resentment and the condition of being a vampire. Ooh. I've never seen this movie. What's it called again? Sundown, the Vampire Retreat. And now is it an independent movie? I've never heard of this. Gold World Order said, listening to that submarine would be relaxing to help me fall asleep. Yeah, kind of would, wouldn't it? Hadn't thought about that, but Jason says, late to the show, but hello, love the beard. Oh, thank you, Jason. It's an excellent suit jacket, he says. Thanks. Brad says, it's Chiller Chat with Bryan Hogue, starring Bryan Hogue now. Stay tuned. Here's Brian. Well, thank you, Brad. Cassandra said, both David Carradine and Bruce Campbell. Oh, is that right? I've never seen that. Oh, they're in it. Okay. Brad says, but sorry I'm late, Brian. That's okay. I was attempting to get, I hope all is well. I was trying to get, made numerous attempts to get a hold of Tim, Tim Gross was going to be the guest on here tonight. So, I'm not sure what the issue was. But we're not able to get in touch with him. So maybe there's a technical glitch. I don't know. That's possible. Some of this technology here that we're using lately is new, and there's still some glitches there, although I've tried to call him and contact him online as well, but unable to to get in touch with him. So, feel bad about that, but Brad says, nice goatee, Brian. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. As Gordon says, Bruce Campbell is nigh unto royalty. Yes. He's been in quite a bit, hasn't he? Gotta give it to old Bruce. Certainly a fan favorite. Joe Expo says, the goal is to make you laugh with comments when you have a bad guest. Well, he's not a bad guest. He's just an absent guest. But I appreciate that. Yeah. For Ian Times, do you like Al Adamson films? Al Adamson films. You'll have to give me a name here, Fort Ian Times. I'm not familiar with the name off the top of my head anyways. Jason says, have you been out to the theaters for any movies? I want to see Lamb with Noomi Rapace. I don't even know what that is, really. Lamb with Noomi Rapace. I've never heard of that. I haven't seen that one yet. Brian, he's giving me a little wave there. Hey, Raymond. I have not. The last movie that I think I saw at the theater was the Black Panther. And that tells you how long ago that was. It's been several years. Whenever that movie came out, whatever year that was, I took the boys and we went and saw that, and that was, I think that was it. Everything else, I've been waiting. I've been just, I guess I kind of got used to seeing them when they come on TV, or maybe if it's available on HBO Max on the day it comes out, or, on Halloween Kills, when that came out, we saw that right away. Um, Godzilla versus Kong, we saw that right away. Fort Ian times Dracula versus Frankenstein, 1970. Is that the one with Michael Rene in it? Because there are actually several with that title, and so but I'm familiar with that one. And Paul Naschy reprises his role as the Waldemar Daminsky, the werewolf, and Michael Rene is in the movie as well. It might not be the same one. Like again, there are several by that same title, but it's in the same year bracket there. Jason says Numi Rapace did the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo trilogy and Prometheus. Okay, I've seen both of those, but I haven't seen um, Lamb. I guess Lamb is that the name of the movie? Lamb. Lasercorn says Numi Rapace. Rapace, am I saying that right? Swoon. Okay. Jason says Lamb is a new horror film. Looks great. Okay. Stan Smather says, you seen Dead Birds? Dead Birds, no. Nope. Fill me in. What is Dead Birds? For Ian Time says Lon Chaney Jr. is in it. Oh, okay. Then I know which one you're talking about now. Then I've not seen that one, or if I did, it was too long ago for me to to pull those memories up in the front seat and discuss it. J. Carol Nash. Okay. Fort Ian Time. Both old actors at the time. Oh yeah, yeah, I can imagine. Just yeah, they would be quite up there in years at that. In fact, Lon Chaney Jr. would be pretty much at the end of the road in that time frame. Cassandra says Al Adamson worked on the 1961 Western Halfway to Hell, where he served as an uncredited co-director. Is that right? What's the deal with the uncredited? I would hate that. If you put work into it, get credited. That's the way I feel about it. Joe Expense says anything by Guillermo. I can never pronounce his name. Del Toro, Pan's Labyrinth. Yeah, is really out there. Yeah, it is. He is. The neat thing about him is not only the I don't know. So it's visually, it's just so you're going to get such a visual treat when you're watching his movies. Among other things, I mean, it's a good. Normally, he associates himself only with good quality work as far as the writing. The actors have to be top notch, and of course, visually, it's just fantastic. Um, Definitely is an exceptional director. Lisa Corn says, "Can't wait to see Lamb." What is this? That's something I've never even seen a commercial for. I gotta say I don't watch that much TV, but sometimes I catch stuff online about the trailers, and I haven't seen that one yet. Brad says, "Have you checked the Chucky and Day of the Dead series yet, Brian?" I have not. I have not. I have. I watched Deadwood, and I started to rewatch it, and then I started watching another series, Heels. About the wrestling, the guy who played on Arrow. He's in it, but it's a show about wrestling. I actually have some. I had some sad news today. The guy one of the guys who was really supportive in Dark Horse Championship Wrestling, Floyd Collins, he had passed away, and I posted about that, but it was just that was somewhat sad to hear that. We had just talked to him just a few months ago, and just always hate to hear that, but he had passed away. But he had worked security in the show. Actually, I think every single show that we did, he was always there. So let's see. Stan says it's a shame that the Drake Theater is being torn down. Lots of memories there. Oh my goodness, I have so many. That's the first theater that I have memory of. The Drake Theater in Oil City. That's where the I've seen Star Wars and all these. You know, I always think of when I think of the Drake, I think of the old James Bond movies. I saw every James Bond movie in there, but Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back. It was the only time that I snuck into the theater to see. I watched it, and then my cousin and I, we were hiding. we went back. We went back and got in the seats and watched it again. We watched it twice in a row. The Empire Strikes Back. First place I saw a rated R movie when I was a kid. It was Friday the 13th Part 2. So yeah, that's got some memories, some nostalgia there with the Drake Theater. And if I'm sure a lot of you don't know anything about the Drake Theater, but it was a big um, old school, old time theater that was around since I don't know when would that have been constructed? It was back. You see the old stage and the band pit. Big, it's huge inside. Had the curtains, along the walls and the fancy lighting, and it was just so cool to see those lights dim as the show was coming on. It just and all the paintings in the back and the movie posters. It was just I don't know. The only theater that I've seen that kind of resembles that, and kinda, is the one in Grove City, and it's kind of that old school theater look to it. Fort Ian Times. Check out Flesh and Blood, The Real and Ghastly Times of Al Adamson. 2019 documentary. It's on YouTube. Okay. Cool. I have to check that out. Joe Expo said, most hated wrestler when I was growing up was Waldo Von Erich. Is that right? Mine was... I don't know what mine was, but my favorite wrestler was always in the top 10 most hated list. Remember the wrestling magazines you get every month? Well, mine was the Masked Superstar. He was, and just to tell you how far back my love for wrestling went, Hulk Hogan was commonly in that list as well. Because back when I was watching wrestling, back when I loved it, Hulk Hogan was still a heel. And he had just recently started becoming a face right before I stopped watching it. So I probably stopped watching wrestling in '84, maybe. I'm guessing. And I'll tell you about the same time that it was about the time when they did the of all times to do it, because the business was really booming, but it was booming in a direction that was smart for Vince McMahon, but for a guy like me who I like the old school stuff. It was what I had drilled into my head. And when it got really commercial and WrestleMania and rockin' wrestling and the cartoons, that's when I stopped watching it. I didn't care for it at that point anymore. But which, like I said, that was a great time for wrestling from a business point of view. But for me, from just an old time fan, that was a time when I just stopped watching it. So I had a lot of catching up to do. Let's see. Jason said the Drake Theater should have been preserved. Such an amazing place. Love the decor. Yeah, I agree. I wish they could have done something to preserve that. Jason says I saw Star Wars and Bambi and The Empire Strikes Back and Gandhi, among others. Jason says Drake Theater opened on August 27th, 1928. Is that right? 1928. I would have actually thought. Well, although that does make sense, 1928. Had that old, I would have guessed maybe late 1800s, but that's not far off. That's not far off. Still had that look. Um, of course, it was theater and the bands, before before they put the movie capabilities in there. David said next week is Thanksgiving. Yeah, yeah, next week is Thanksgiving, and it's funny because that was one of the things I was going to talk to um, Tim about. Is he was remaking Blood Freak? Yes, Blood Freak. I wanted to ask him about that. Like, was what was the inspiration? Well, I guess the movie Blood Freak was the inspiration. But that's funny. That's hilarious. I would have. Yeah, I would have loved to talk to him about that. Maybe at 8:30, I'll see if I can get in touch with him again, just to give it a 30-minute episode. Um, let's see. Brad said they have so many of their own original programming, TV shows and movies, you don't know where to turn. Very true. Very true. Fort Ian Times before he was in Rocky 3. Go back here. Al Adamson? Is that who you're... I'll have to check and see what this is all about. Google World Order says, I remember hearing that Hulk... Oh, Hulk Hogan. Okay. I remember hearing that Hulk Hogan's original wrestler name was Terry Boulder. Yeah, I believe so. Joe explains that Roddy Piper was the best, RIP. Yeah, Stan says, you're just a kid. Well, just a kid at heart, I will say. Lasercord says, I still remember seeing Ivan Putski and Jimmy Snuka at the, believe it or not, the Ford City High School gym back then in the early 80s. Is that right? That's cool. Ivan Putski, I've seen him wrestle. I've actually seen both of those guys in person wrestling back in the day. The Polish Prince, the Polish Hammer, went by a couple different monikers, I believe. Cassandra says, love Blood Freak, great Thanksgiving movie. Right? A man who turns into a killer turkey man and a monster. Andre the Giant. Yeah, I've seen him. Lasercorn says, Najo, the Polish Hammer. Raymond says, McMahon's wife Linda served as head of the Small Business Administration under Trump. I remember that. And then she resigned, maybe 2 years into it, I believe. I know they were good friends. Trump and McMahon. Cool World, or David says, I'm looking forward to turkey dinner and champagne. That sounds good. Cool World Order says, sorry about the Hulk Hogan typo. I actually hit the 7 button. That happens. McTracy Williams said, Roddy Piper, cool. Brad says, still gotta love Bruno Sammartino. Oh, always. That's the wrestling that I remember and that I fell in love with. And when it changed into the more, and like I said, I can't fault the guy. Vince, I thought it was genius what he did, but it just wasn't for me at that point, And then when I later did Dark Horse Championship Wrestling, I wanted to, as much as possible, bring that old school stuff back, classy Freddie Blassie type of managers. Killer Kowalski, Ivan Putski, those guys who were just, that's what I like. I like the ring psychology. And there actually is a format for setting up your wrestling matches. And there's actually a thing to it. It's kind of like telling a story. Like you wouldn't want to put a really fast, action-paced, high-flying match as your first opening match. You don't want to do something like that because you want your main event to be the main event. And there's actually certain ways to layer your the pacing of an event, not just a match, but the actual event itself. And so I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed working with Chad Henry, who was my booker. And Chad, you know, was smart in wanting to bring some a good part of the modern day wrestling to my old school wrestling ideas, and we met in the middle, and that was a good. I think that was a good choice because it was you wanted to try to hit as many fans' interest as you could, Um, let's see. 14 times would like to have seen Tor Johnson wrestling. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that would have been so neat to see. I would have loved to have been in the old smoke-filled arena, seeing those guys, Gorgeous George and Lou Thez, and some of the old school wrestlers back in the day. That would have been very cool. Jason says, "You saw Andre the Giant? Wow. Yes, yes, I have. I saw him. And it is 8:33. I'm going to try him again. Maybe we can be lucky and catch him here. If not, I don't know what to do. We'll just do this till you're tired of, till you're bored talking. Chatting with me. It says he's not online. Tim, if you are watching and for some reason, if I can't get in touch with you, I am sorry about that. So if not, I hope everything is well. I hope everything's okay, and we'll schedule this again for another time. Mr. Tracy says the Sheik. Joe Expo says Ernie the Cat Lad. Yeah, yep. Brad says I heard Andre the Giant was huge. Yes, he was. In fact, I got pictures here, folks. I got actual. Do I have them in here? I wonder. I don't want to take too much time looking for them if they're not sitting right out in the open. But I actually had tickets, the ticket stubs from some of the old shows from back in like '81 that had the cards, and I had the cards, who was wrestling, and photographs of Andre the Giant, some of these other guys we're talking about here tonight. Roddy Piper was one of the best ever. Yeah, he certainly was. Stan says, don't forget the Crusher. Joe Expo says, Samson versus the Vampire Women, wrestling and vampires. You know what? I picked that movie because originally Brian Yeager, Lumberjack LaRue, was scheduled to be my guest on that night. And we got together, and he couldn't be on that night. Well, I thought, how cool would that be to have a wrestling themed, Chiller Night Theater movie, and then have Brian Yeager, my heavyweight champion, or one of the champions I had for Dark Horse Championship Wrestling. But then he couldn't make it, and then David and Diana were kind enough to agree to be on the show, and so that was really cool. But that is a good movie, though. I did enjoy that one. Deborah says, hello, Chiller Thrillers. Hey, Deborah, thanks for joining us. Stan says, a ringside Rosie, too. Right. Ah, those are great memories. Deborah says, oh, gosh, I loved ringside Rosie. Yeah. Deborah says, here is another oldie, Bruno Sammartino. Bruno was, he was, of course, a legend, and he lived in Pittsburgh. He lived probably less than an hour away from me. And although I didn't know him, I did know Bill Cardell, who was great friends, of course, with Bruno Sammartino. Bill and Bruno had a long friendship. And Bill Cardell, of course, was the voice of wrestling, known as the voice of wrestling in Pittsburgh, so for studio wrestling. And I don't know, and he and I were talking about that. In fact, I was talking with Chili on the show, and we were talking about that, and even you know, off camera, we were talking about the old days of wrestling, and you know, one thing that's always a reoccurring, I guess, fact is the, you know, it will never come back like that, and it can't come back like that, you know, and like they say, the cat's out of the bag when you tell people that it's um, Mr. Mr. Tracy says They Live. Yeah, that was a good movie. I like that. They're kind of it's kind of some elements in real life going on with that these days, it seems. Brad says, and then there was hardcore wrestlers like New Jack. A lot of people said he was really crazy doing stuff he performed. Wow, yeah, yeah, not my type of wrestling. I like something that I didn't mind it getting a little edgy, but there's two types of wrestling. Well, I'll say there's two types of wrestling I don't care for, and that's kind of the R-rated or the I like the family-friendly stuff. I just do. I like that about my horror shows, you know, and I like that about doing the Dark Horse Championship Wrestling and the wrestling that I grew up with. But that the ECW, for example, Extreme Championship Wrestling. I'm going to tell you, you know, those guys don't get paid enough to go out there and risk their health like that. And like, I hate to see that. And I know that was a big thing, and I know it was very popular for its time. But somebody like that's just my personal feeling. I mean, you like whatever you want to like, but I don't like seeing people take unnecessary risks like that because I don't think it's. I'm not talking about the, you know, these wrestlers keep getting their heads bloody. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the you know, smashing into broken glass and all these things that just not my cup of tea. I would I just don't want to see them get hurt. They risk their life and limb enough as it is. You go back in the locker room after watching a match, and you see the real beating that they take, the bumps and the bruises and the welts and everything, and I don't think they need anything above and beyond that. Laser says, or Joe Expo says, Laser, it was good to meet you. Happy birthday again. Love the rest of your life. That's right. Mr. Tracy says, funny fight scene. Back in the day, wrestling actually looked like a real fight. It was convincing. You know what it was? Like I say, back in the day with the old masters of their craft, like Lou Thez, Bruno Sammartino, Superstar Billy Graham, and even to do the things that they did back then, King Kong Bundy, um, um, the ring psychology, you know, the test of strength, you know, you could I don't know that they still even do that today. Can you even do that with the audience today? And I can't blame the audience because they're conditioned to, you know, to whatever you are exposing them to. Same as in movies, you know, you can't watch a a classic horror movie today to a kid. You show them that, it's like, what? You know, it's what you evolve into, and we love it because it's nostalgic. Um, and they were great at it, but yeah, it did look real. It did look real, and even in the early '80s, in the late '70s, early '80s, you thought, something didn't look quite right about that. I don't know if that was you know, but nobody came out and told you, and that was the fun of it. You know, that was the fun of it. Let's see. Brad says there were a lot of wrestler promoters probably wish they never booked wrestlers like New Jack. Yeah, yeah. I told you about one that I knew who booked him for a a family event. It was people bringing their kids to, and didn't go over too well. There was blood everywhere, even up on the walls, behind the bleachers and stuff. It was crazy. It's like that didn't go over too well. Jason says, "You got to know who you're booking." Jason says, "Thanks for the well wishes, Joe. May your glass always be full and your memories live forever." Mr. Tracy says, "Chew bubblegum and kick butt all out of bubblegum." Yes, yes. Great line. I wonder if we're seeing any... I just keep checking back to see if I'm seeing anything from Tim. Tim was supposed to be a guest on the show. I haven't heard from him. I haven't heard from him. Like I said, I hope everything's okay. Stan says, "Remember Mr. Fuji?" Heck yeah, I do. Mr. Fuji. Mr. Fuji was also a villain on, what was it? Goldfinger. Wasn't it Goldfinger? He threw the hat, and the brim of the hat had a blade in it. Throwing it at 007, played by Sean Connery. I think I'm thinking of the right James Bond movie. But yeah, I remember Mr. Fuji. Those were fun. Those were fun. Fun. It was a fun era of wrestling to watch. Like I say, now Deborah says, "Oh my gosh, Mr. Fuji." Yeah. I watch it. I wish I don't know. There was the stuff that they have now, I can't take. I'm not saying anything against it. I'm just saying that wasn't what I was, brought up watching. So to me, it was. Wait a second. I'm trying to look something up here. Talk amongst yourselves for another 2 seconds. But anyways, I got a little sidetracked there. I'm sorry. I was just looking to see if if there's any sign of. I guess it's pretty late though, even if he did reach out to me, but I haven't seen it. We'll figure it out. But anyways, Joe Expo says, "What about Andy Kaufman wrestling? An unpredictable ingredient in any show." Oh, yeah, that was something, wasn't it? The feud there where with King Lawler. Am I saying his name right? Terry Lawler? Is that the name of the guy who... I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on that. He's a big name in wrestling, especially back then. But he wasn't in the territory that I watched, so I wasn't familiar with Jerry Lawler, with him growing up as much. But that of course was the big talk at the time when he went on the David Letterman show, and of course the thing was he gave him the pile driver and supposedly injured his neck, and then he assaulted him on David Letterman. And well, I'll tell you what, talk about really playing that up. That was so well done. That was so well done. Gosh, that was so believable. Stan says that was Odd Job and James Bond. Yeah. Mr. Tracy says Latka from Taxi. Yeah. Gold World Order says, "Remember when Captain Lou Albano played Mario on the Super Mario Brothers Super Show?" I remember that happening, but I didn't see it. But I know what you're talking about. Laser Corn says, "No representative from the Silvio clan tonight. No Glam Fangs tonight." The Silvio clan, they're here, or they were here. Jerry Lawler, that's it. I was trying to think. For some reason, I was thinking either Terry or Jerry, but yeah, Jerry Lawler. Gold World Order says, Raymond says, as a kid in the 50s, my grandfather led me to believe wrestling was real. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what. When we went to go see wrestling, now we didn't go to like the big thing was the Gordon Sully would announce, and well, we're gonna find out, Sunday night at the Omni in Georgia, at the Omni Center. We never went there. We always heard about it every week. But the closest one for us to go to was the Columbus Center in Columbus, Ohio. So that's where we used to go to watch wrestling. And boy, it was such a neat setup. The studio wrestling, of course, was to promote your events. Your paid events like that. And they just did enough. They just did enough to get you to hook you in, made you want to go to these now every week. Every week's the big event. It is done right. Business point of view, yes, it is done. I'm jealous. I wish I had a just a slither of that, a slice of that kind of success with wrestling or these chiller shows. It was very well done, very very smart on Vince's part. But when we would go there, it's funny because if you even saw the heels walking in the hallways, and somebody, one of the spectators, they'd do, they did yell at the people. They did not. There was that perfect kayfabe. Oh, there's Tim. Okay, well, Tim. Tim, if you were there, no problem, no problem. Here, let me write this back here. Okay, well, that explains that. I'm at least there's no problem. We'll get him back on the show here at a different time. But I'm just relieved to hear that everything's okay. He couldn't be on the show tonight. Ended up not being able to make it, so it was the first time he could contact me at this point. Let's see. Brad says to the Ghoul World Order, I knew that guy looked familiar playing Mario. He was great playing Mario. Yeah. Stan says, have you watched the series Combat? It was in the 60s. No, I've not. Let's see. Joe Expo says, Stan, you've just dated yourself. Yes, I remember. Brad says, 6:05 p.m. Wrestling on TBS. That's right, 6:05 p.m. It was Gordon Sully. Brad says, every Saturday night. And Mr. Tracy says, girls just want to have fun. Cyndi Lauper, Lou Albano. Joe Expo says, best Raw War movie still, The Dirty Dozen. Yeah, that was a good one, wasn't it? Yeah, that was a really good one. Just think of all the stars that was on that. Charles Bronson, Lee Marvin, Clint Walker, Dawn. Of course, my mind goes blank as I'm sitting here. What the heck? He's very, very famous. The guy who played oh my gosh. I can't believe I can't think of his name. Sutherland, Donald Sutherland. Yeah, there we go. Okay, Deborah says, my grandma thought it was real. One time Bruno was losing and she became so animated she flipped her rocking chair over. First time I saw rubber garters. That's funny. Joe Expo says, Brian, it already was a great show tonight. Oh, thank you very much. Well, we'll have Tim on again. I actually have had him on the pre-show. But I'm just glad he's okay. And yeah, it ended up he couldn't be on the show tonight, but we'll get him back on. Telly Savalas, that's it, Joe Expo. That's right. Telly Savalas, Lee Marvin, Brad says, wrestling back then, people actually believed this. Miss Tracy said, Kojak, yeah. And Telly was on the Horror Express. Remember that? That was the very first movie that Jack Shadow featured on, not on Chiller Night Theater, but on Chiller Night Theater when I collaborated with Stream TV. So it was first movie whenever Chiller Night Theater first played on Stream TV. So, Lisa Corn said, agree, Joe. I propose a 2-hour marathon for a Tuesday or Saturday show. Joe exposes Horror Express greatness. These are fun. To me, this is just as much of a chat as anything else. Chatting with you guys. So I'm relieved that Tim's okay. But this is fun. This is just as fun too. So, Ghoul World Order said you never watched Combat. Vic Morrow was in it. I don't think I have. When I say I haven't seen something, I can't say with all certainty. What I mean is I don't recall seeing it. And then somebody might show me a picture or something, or say a line from something, and then I'll say, "Oh, that's right. Yeah, I saw that." But I don't recall seeing it. I'll put it that way. So, Mr. Tracy says, "Possessed doll." Possessed doll. What, like the trilogy of terror, that Possessed doll, or Chucky? Yeah. Well, this was a fun. Hey, might as well stay until 9 and make it an hour. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Wrestling was a lot of fun. Okay, somebody brought up probably Brad. I'm guessing about the 6:05 p.m. Yep. On TBS, 6:05 p.m. on TBS every Saturday night. Now, and I've said this before, but if you're new on here, or maybe you missed me saying this, these two shows on Saturday nights, to me, was my favorite. It was such a great time growing up, because that was the family sitting at the TV together. 6:05 p.m. on TBS, and later on that night, 11:30 p.m. on WPXI for Chiller Theater, for Bill Cardell's Chiller Theater out of Pittsburgh. And obviously, those two shows inspired me enough to where, well into my adulthood, I've been doing shows that are, of course, similar. At Dark Horse Championship Wrestling, had it. I hate to say had, because that sounds like the door is shut on that, which is, anybody who knows me, who talks to me quite regularly, knows it's not shut. It just hasn't been, haven't let the horse out running for a while. Now it's 6 years. And I know that just off the top of my head, because 6 years today is when I started my new job. So, and that meant moving, and everything was, everything that I used to do so frequently, it was a little harder to do that, and I had to rebuild, moving into a new location and getting a new occupation, and that was a big change in my life. I'd been a police officer for 13 plus years, and then to change a career like that, that was kind of scary, to be honest with you. But because that's all I knew for a long time, Brad says, "Monster, we're British." I'm sorry, but that line never gets old. Yeah, the line said by Peter Cushing. That was a funny line. Mr. Tracy says, "Taking Tina" in Horror Express. The line Brad's talking about. Raymond says, "Twilight Zone." I love Twilight Zone. Talking Tina, Mr. Tracy says. You talking about Possessed doll? The Possessed doll? I don't know what that is. Mr. Tracy says, Dennis Weaver McLeod. Okay. That, I'm familiar with that. Yeah. But those two shows, like I said, with wrestling and then later on in the night, watching the Chiller Theater with the family. Again, it was a family event. It was so fun. I looked forward to Saturdays so much when I was a kid. Of course, it wasn't. I didn't watch a lot of TV, so that was kind of a big treat. I watched TV after school when I first got home, but my brothers. It was a weird mix because I'm very geeky. I love my comic books. I love my horror movies. I loved my cartoons when I was growing up. I loved all that stuff. I still do. But I was in every sport you could shake a stick at. I loved competition. I loved competing. I loved anything with sports, dealing with sports, and so I was kind of a weird mixed. I didn't know where. I didn't really belong in any category. But I didn't even think about it at the time. I just loved everything. I had a good childhood, I gotta say. Stan says, I remember the TV show One Step Beyond. One Step Beyond. Boy, it sounds familiar. One Step Beyond. I can't grab it though. I can't grab it, Stan. One Step Beyond. Fritz the Night Owl. Like Mr. Tracy says. Fritz the Night Owl. Fritz the Night Owl. I remember that. Or I remember the name. Deborah says, replying to Stan, that was a good show. One Step Beyond, and I don't recall that one. Mr. Tracy says Big Chuck and Little John. Big Chuck and Little John. I remember Big John, Little John. It was a Saturday morning show. I don't remember this one now. Speaking of Saturday morning shows, it's 8:58. Okay, but it was so cool the time I had Donald F. Glued on here, because many of those TV shows that I grew up watching on Saturday mornings, he was a writer on so many of those shows. So it was neat to have him on the show, and we were talking about that because I'm like talking to the guy who wrote all these episodes, of all these cartoons and live action shows that I grew up watching on Saturday morning. So that was really cool. Ted Shorts, Mr. Tracy said. Ted Shorts. Is that an actor that was in Big Chuck and Little John? I don't know. I'm not familiar with that. But, yeah. Well, folks, thank you. This was a fun hour. This was like a pre-show. In a way, it kind of was. Thank you so much for your participation. Joe Expo says, Laser, find a party. It's still early. Smile in spite of it all and rock. That's right. Laser. Corn, happy birthday to you. I hope you have a great happy birthday. I hope you have a fantastic night, and we wish you well. We wish you a well evening, and I hope you have a good time and stay safe. Brad says, I can remember when I woke up every Saturday morning getting sugar-coated cereal watching Saturday morning cartoons. Yes. Yeah, I know. That was the best. All right, folks. Well, thank you for thank you for joining me tonight. It was a lot of fun. I had a good time walking down memory lane with all of you. So have a good night. Have a good chiller night, and we'll see you Saturday.